So if you hadn't heard, former WWE wrestler CM Punk has been signed to the UFC. This was announced last Saturday at UFC 181. Now I will tell you why it's a terrible idea. First, why did they sign him? It's a very reasonable question. Well, there are many whys. CM Punk was recently fired from the WWE. He has previously stated an interest in MMA. He's already a big name, but the two biggest reasons are the fact that Bellator showed interest in him and the huge success that was Brock Lesnar. The UFC is not taking Bellator lightly. They're scared that they're going to steal up-and-coming talent and the UFC's previously established talent that might be over the hill, a la Rampage and Ortiz. You could see this in the Anderson Silva 16-fight contract they worked up. Not that I'm saying Anderson is over the hill, he's still better than 95% of all fighters, but he's definitely not in his prime. But yeah, back to my point, they got him to sign that contract to make sure Brazil's biggest fighter wasn't ever going to fight for Bellator, as that would give them too much exposure. The same would go for CM Punk. He was a very popular wrestler, why let them get all the exposure when we can, would be their sentiment. Brock Lesnar is the other reason why they went for this, because of how successful he was. It gave them more confidence in this deal. Now I'll fully admit, I was super into WWE as a kid, and Brock Lesnar going to the UFC is what got me into MMA, as is the case with a lot of current MMA fans. So it's not hard to see why they'd try to get this type of success again. And CM Punk is, as far as I can tell, a much bigger name to wrestling fans than Brock was. Lesnar wasn't even in the WWE for a long time before he started fighting. So that's why they signed him. But how will it go? Well, badly. He's got no fighting experience, only a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and he doesn't have the physical gifts that Lesnar possessed. Even if he did, Lesnar's career didn't go that well. He lost his first UFC fight, managed to make a comeback, knocked out Couture for the belt, then got the shit beat out of him for his last 3 fights before retiring and going back to the WWE to beat The Undertaker. The only way I see CM Punk having any success is if the UFC just brings in bum fighters for him to step over, and this is what I imagine they'll do, because there's not really anyone on the roster, middleweight or welterweight, one of which he will be competing in, that has the complete experience that he does. I'll give props to the guy, it's a gutsy move, and anyone willing to step in the cage has my respect, but I really don't think it's got to work out. This would have been much better if he had a few pro fights in some unknown organisations, like Lesnar did before stepping up onto the big stage. It would have made the UFC look a little better than they do now. Because signing an 0-0 fighter to the biggest MMA organisation in the world, just because he was a WWE wrestler, makes you look really bad, not to mention the slap in the face to all the proven fighters wanting to get into the UFC. What I predict will happen is the UFC will give him really easy fights for a while, then if he wins they'll give him a better fighter who will destroy him, then after a few straight losses he'll go back to the WWE, never to return. I hope this doesn't happen. I think it would be better for the sport if he is competent and does fairly well, because a lot of new people will be watching his fights. I'd rather them get into MMA instead of losing all interest because they see a guy they like get steamrolled. But if fighters like Michael Bisping, Mark Munoz and Yushin Okami can't find much success in the middleweight division, how's a 36-year-old former WWE wrestler with very little martial arts experience got to be able to do anything except lose?